Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Welcome to my very favorite month of the 12th month.
It's a good one. I mean, it's one of my top 2 or 3.
It can't be beat.
Also, October in Virginia, especially. I don't know if you've all been to Virginia in October.
Lots of the East Coast.
Oh, well, yeah. But just the leaves are
next level.
Peak performance.
So I think fall is an excellent time to do things.
Yeah, it's back to school energy.
Well, I feel invigorated by the fall because it's supposed to be chillier. Honestly, we're not going to get into that. It's supposed, but there's like a, I think it's F. Scott Fitzgerald or someone who says that the world comes live again in the fall when the air gets crisp. And I'm like, that is so true. To me, it is
that crisp air.
It's like a new year. It's way better than the new year being in January. So that said, this is a really long and roundabout and stupid way of saying that on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, October 8th through Friday, October 18th, we are going to be once again officially opening the doors for new coaching clients.
So you might remember, if you've heard our podcast for a while, that
back in June,
we changed the way that we take on new clients for one-on-one coaching. We used to just take people on whenever they found us and randomly. And now we've decided to take them on in waves. And so we have enrollment periods a few times a year when we have specifically cleared our calendars a bit to prepare for a new wave of clients. And that is happening now. It's time.
Not now.
Tuesday. But that is what we're doing.
Prepare yourselves.
Yeah.
So we're going to be taking around, it's hard to say exactly because we don't have a hard, cutoff necessarily, but it's around 20, 25 people-ish.
Yes.
So if you are seriously considering it and you are interested in getting started with coaching within the next month or so, give or take, then when this happens on Tuesday, you can sign up to talk to one of us, which doesn't mean that you're committed 100% to coaching. It just means I'm serious enough that I really want to talk to you about it and see if this is a good fit. Obviously, we don't want you to feel like you have to do it before you've had a conversation with us.
You're not paying any money before you talk to us.
No.
You are not signing any documents.
Let's be clear. I don't want you to sign anything or hand me anything until I know that you ain't crazy.
There's a reason that we don't just have a checkout page for one-on-one coaching. We want to have a conversation with you first to make sure it's a good fit all around. So there's no commitment to just filling out that form. But if you're pretty seriously considering this, and if you feel like now might be the right time, definitely fill it out. We'll schedule some time to talk to you. And keep in mind, we're probably not going to be doing this again for
5 months.
About 5 months.
Yeah.
Until maybe around March.
Mid to late March.
Yeah, not even early March. Just looking at the calendar.
Probably not.
So it could be a little while before
That's almost
we have
half a year, people.
It could be solidly into 2020 before we're even able to take on a bunch of new clients. So if you don't want to wait that long, if you want to go into 2020 feeling a little bit more clear about your direction and you want to feel a little bit more energized and you want to let go of some old stuff before you get into a new year, this is the time.
So if it is not the right time for you, just know that we have a wait list so that if you've decided, no, I don't want to do this right now, then that's fine. You can reach back out later and put your name on our wait list. And we can contact you to let you know if we have availability. It's not that we never have availability in that 4 or 5 month window between taking on official clients. It's just we can't we don't know how many and we can't guarantee it. So
you might have to wait a little while.
If you reach out, it might be a month before we can actually talk to you. It might not. And we might be able to talk to you right away. This is the time that we can guarantee taking on a certain amount of people. And also, it's just good to give you kind of a little bit of a deadline. Instead of, I honestly, if you don't have a deadline for something, you can just intend to do it for a year and then kind of just keep putting it off.
I know that's true about some of you, because in our last enrollment period, we had people saying, I've been meaning to do this for a long time.
And now I'm finally getting my crap together.
You kind of lit a fire under my butt in a good way, and let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's you, then maybe talk to us.
So we will be back on Tuesday, of course, when we're officially opening the doors for coaching. So you'll hear all of this again. Don't worry. But this is just to prime you in case this is something you really want to seriously think about. And if you want to know more about coaching, go to the link in the show notes and you can go to our coaching page and read up about it ahead of time so that you know, is this something I want to do? Is there something I can afford to do?
Yeah, we have all the specifics. We have the cost. We have everything posted. They're very transparent. So you can know what you're considering before you think about signing up with us on Tuesday or for the next 10 days after that.
Because we're not going to talk to you if you haven't even read that page. You have to have read that page and know what you might be signing up for. You got to, it has to be an informed decision.
Sure.
So please inform yourselves. All right. So we have 3, this might be a longer episode because we have 3 questions to get into. And I had a hard time. I was going to narrow it down to 2. And then I was like, why? I can do what I want. I'm answering all of these.
We've had some good questions. So
I couldn't cut them.
It's worth getting into all of it.
All right. The first one is rather long, but I think worth reading all of it. So go ahead.
All right. I'm a specialist in my field. When my boss hired me, I made it clear that I worked very hard to specialize and wanted to focus my work in that area. For months, I was giving patients that were outside of my specialty, and although I can treat them, I was upset that my skills weren't being utilized adequately. I approached her and told her that I was not getting the types of patients that I hoped for, and she said it wasn't a problem to direct patients differently. Since then, most of the time, I'm using my skill set appropriately. There was recently an issue concerning my pay that I confronted her about, along with a few other things that had been upsetting me. She took this very personally, lashed out at me, and has ignored me ever since. I'm not seeing as many patients now, which directly affects my income. I've now been told that she talks about me behind my back, saying I'm quote-unquote difficult because I want to see certain types of patients and am a pain for always complaining. She seriously struggles with communication, and I'm the type of person that just says it like it is. I've been very civil about everything, but she still doesn't take it well. I got angry the other day and started looking for another job, but then decided that letting my emotions drive me to leave probably isn't the best answer either. How do I help her see that I'm not taking stabs at her and just want to do what I went to college to do? And that is from Carly.
Okay, Carly. As a fellow direct person who just likes to say it as it is and is annoyed when people can't just receive that information without taking it incredibly personally and getting it all tangled up.
And getting quite petty, it sounds like.
Right, seriously. It's totally understandable that you're reacting the way you are. And I agree, please don't go try to find a new job based in reaction to what's happening right now. Because I do think it's possible for you to turn this around. I don't know that it's possible, but it's absolutely worth a try.
If you could improve this situation and not have to leave and still be able to work with the types of patients we work with, we could make this a great situation.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach you and everyone who's listening a very, very basic, quick, we're not going to get into all the details, coaching skill. This is something that everyone should have to learn.
We learned this on day one of coach training.
It's the first thing they teach you and it's for a reason. So here's the deal. Most people do not know how to communicate or how to listen. And if you've ever been in an argument with someone in particular, you'll know that usually what happens is it's just two people clinging to their point. Both are really defensive. Neither is willing to see the other's point or to try to find common ground.
And so a lot of what is escalating the argument is each person trying to make the other person hear and understand what they're trying to say because they feel like you're not getting me. You're so not focused on your own thoughts and your own reactions. Right. That you're not hearing me, so I have to keep getting louder and more in your face.
Yes. So people dig into their perspective, their stance when they don't feel heard. And I think what's happening here is that your boss doesn't feel heard. And you're going to roll your eyes and be like, I've told her the damn truth. Feeling heard is about emotionally acknowledging someone, not necessarily factually acknowledging someone.
It's about the delivery, not the actual message.
As my mom was fond of saying me, and damn, she was right. She should listen. She doesn't listen to my podcast often enough because she's probably going to miss me telling everyone that she was right, which is a real shame for her.
You'll have to let her know to come back for this one in particular.
But she forever told me, it is not what you said. It is how you said it.
I feel like I've told you that a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
I mean, it's a common experience if you're in a relationship with me. It's like, it's not that what you're saying isn't right or truthful or accurate.
It's your delivery.
Your delivery is just like, why? Why are you being so prickly? Why are you being so angry? Like, tone it the frick down. So, all of that said, I want to talk to you about acknowledging and validating people. Okay.
This is, again, you're going to roll your eyes when you hear how simple this is. And I'm also, because I remember when I learned this, I was like, that can't really be that helpful. But I'm telling you, I've been a coach now for a long time, many, many years, and this works. This neutralizes people's energy when they're agitated or worked up or on the defensive.
It makes them understand that you have heard them. Therefore, they're able to drop their defenses and hear you.
Yes.
That's what you're asking for. So that's what we're giving you. Okay.
So part 1, this is a 2-part experience.
It's like peanut butter and jelly.
They go
acknowledging
together.
And validating.
Part 1, acknowledging. This is so simple. You're going to want to dismiss it. You really just give them back what they said in different words.
You just mirror what they said to you.
And that sounds stupid, but the reason it works is because it clearly shows, I heard you. Now, you don't give them back their exact words like a parrot repeating them.
You could.
That would be kind of awkward. So you say your variation or your interpretation or even just a summary of what you heard.
Yes. The flavor even of what you heard.
And they might come back and say, no, it's not quite that. And you say, okay, so then it sounds like this instead. So it's just an acknowledgement. That's why it's called acknowledging that I heard you and I understood what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. So, and I'll give you an example, not about your situation, because I want to zoom out and like let you see it from a different perspective. I had a client who had a really, really hard time at her office with some really toxic boss. And like, it is just ridiculous how much this happens a lot, how the higher ups have all the responsibility for setting the vision and allocating the resources. And then the employee isn't getting the resources she needs to do her job. And then the boss is blaming her for not being able to do her job. And she's like, I don't have the resources, you crazy person. And so, but they're both so defensive because one thinks it's her fault for not being able to do her job. The other thinks it's their fault for not being able to like allocate the resources, and they're at a standstill. Mm-hmm. How do you communicate about that? So the acknowledgement and validating for her looked like acknowledge, and we'll do the validating part too, but the acknowledgement part looked like, it sounds like you don't have the resources to give me. Literally, just factually.
I heard what you said.
I hear what you're saying. It sounds like you don't have the resources, or it seems like, or what I'm hearing is that you don't have the resources for this project for me.
And again, they'll either say, yes,
duh.
Or they'll say, no, it's not quite that. It's more of this other thing. Okay.
Which is good.
And then you can acknowledge again and say, okay, so this is what you meant.
Yes.
Then they know that you're on the same page as them. That's a really important step.
Not only do they know you're on the same page, they see you trying to be on the same page.
Yes.
Which is helpful.
Yes.
And it does give them that space to correct you if you're not on the same page.
And that's okay. You don't need to get defensive about that.
No.
You just restate the new information that they shared.
Validating is then tacked on to acknowledging. They go together. So validating is making someone feel normal and understandable and not weird for feeling how they feel. And the critical thing about this is that you can validate someone even if you do not agree with them. Like, I'd say this all the time, and my clients think it's a really ridiculous, over-the-top example, but I think you can acknowledge serial killers. I do. You can acknowledge and validate them because it's understandable that based on the fact that 99% of serial killers were abused as children, that your life turned out the way that it did. It doesn't mean I agree with murder, BT dubs.
Of course.
It just means it makes sense based on your life experience that this is where you ended up.
And that is really the key of the validation piece, is it makes sense. There's a difference between I agree, or I feel the same way, or I get that.
Or even I understand.
Because that can put someone on the defensive as well. They can say, you don't understand. You don't know what it's like to be in my situation. You don't understand me. Versus it's understandable that you feel that way based on what you just told me.
Yeah, you keep yourself out of it. Really important not to
that
use...
makes sense.
Yeah.
Or anyone would feel that way
yes.
in your situation.
Yes.
That you can, I swear, when you do this,
people
you acknowledge,
will drop their guard.
You will feel the energy go from tense to neutralized.
So in my example with the employee having trouble with her boss, she's saying, it sounds like you don't have the resources to allocate to me. And it's understandable if you're struggling with your boss or your higher ups and you're just trying to probably run around like a chicken with your head cut off. And it feels hard for you to give me what I need.
And
that
of course
makes
it's
sense.
Hard. If I were in your situation or if anyone were in your situation, they'd probably be stressed out too.
Right. So what happens when you acknowledge and validate someone again is that very likely their guard will start to drop. They will understand that you are making an effort to hear them and that you are empathizing with them. And then what's possible is that you've now created the space to share your perspective in a less charged and triggered kind of a way. So you can tack on after acknowledging and validating someone. And honestly, you might have to do it more than once, because often what happens after you acknowledge and validate is that the person is like, yeah, and then they'll keep telling you their story because it feels so good to be heard, because most people are not making them feel heard. So that's fine. You just keep acknowledging and validating what you're hearing. And at some point, you will be able to have a natural opening where you can say, and here's how I'm seeing this.
Yep.
And that's what I want you to do, Carly, in your situation, is like share. Once you've acknowledged and validated, share. And when I took this job, I was really excited about being able to work in my specialty, to do what I went to school for. And that's what I would really like to get back to. And I'm so sorry if I came across as I was difficult. It's understandable that you might have perceived me that way. See, we're validating in the middle. You can do that too if you want to. And can we work together to find a way to make us both happy? That would be so much more productive than what's currently happening. And you know what? It might not work. I'm not saying this is a cure-all. She could just be cray. You know what I mean? And it might not even... But this is so worth trying. And it's great for everyone in your life. You should learn to acknowledge and validate just because you can.
Yep. I'm going to add in one more optional piece to this, because I had a client do this sequence with her dad, actually, and it was so incredibly helpful. So she acknowledged, she validated, and then she added in some appreciation. So what could be really helpful is if you acknowledge and validate your boss and then say, I really appreciate you restructuring the way you did and helping me overcome the issues that came up. And again, I understand that might have been, a lot of extra work.
It's understandable.
It's understandable. And I appreciate that effort that you put in.
Yes.
Acknowledge and validating, and then optional appreciation. Oh my gosh. Their demeanor will likely change entirely.
They will maybe still want to be mad, but they will have a hard time holding on to it. They'll probably be like, oh God, she's kind of right. Now I have to drop this weird front. I kind of wanted to be mad now, and now I can't. You might get that. So it's fine if you kind of blindside someone and they have to wait, what just happened?
Yeah. And not false appreciation. Only genuine. You don't have to appreciate all the parts of her, but you can acknowledge the parts that she actually has helped you with in a genuine way.
I appreciate how difficult this must be for you to manage all these schedules and to figure out who goes where and who does what. And it makes sense that you would be peeved at me if you're thinking I'm purposely being difficult. And I just want you to know that's really not what's happening from my perspective. So much better at creating common ground when we approach things that way. So please give it a try. And anyone else who's listening, please go give this a try.
Carly, give it a try. Yeah, but everyone give it a try.
Yes.
This will improve your relationship so much, I promise.
Okay, so on to question number 2. Hi, guys. Love this segment and know you will be able to shed some light on my current situation. I'm in my early 20s and I've met a lovely guy who has just turned 30. I didn't even realize I had a dream guy checklist until I met this guy and realized he ticks all the boxes. On top of a great personality and sharing lots in common, he has a successful career, earns good money, and lives alone in a nice place. The problem is that I haven't started a career yet, have an unstable income, and live with my family. I feel like I don't have any social standing compared to him, and I'm afraid to tell him that I don't have a job and instead make ends meet from several different side hustles. How can I present my work situation in a positive way and stop feeling like I'm less successful than him? Allana Marie.
Allana, I'm going to acknowledge and validate you because I know that this is a really challenging time. And I'm acknowledging from a very personal place because I remember my early 20s and how confused I was, living with my parents, hating my job, not knowing what to do with my life.
It was 84 years ago and I can still smell the fresh paint. The silverware had never been used. Anyway, what? We're just reminiscing on a really long time ago is what this feels like.
Yes. And this is a phase that I don't know anyone who escapes this phase. Frankly, not very many people, at least. The early 20s, man, it is a confusing, tumultuous roller coaster of a time. And he gets this. I'm telling you, he is not going to be surprised by this. He's not going to think less of you for this. He's been in his early 20s too.
Yeah,
we've
Allana
all
Marie,
been there.
You don't need to hoodwink him.
No.
He knows your age. So he understands where you're at in life. He doesn't maybe know all the details. But I promise you, if he's a decent person who's worth sticking around, and you'll find out once you tell him the full truth about you and your life, I suspect he won't care. I really suspect he will not care because A, he's been there. B, it's normal because all people in their early 20s are feeling that way and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And C, I think it's one of the least interesting, important things. Like, it's actually not a defining characteristic of who you are as a person. Like, I think what he's interested in is your character and your personality and your passion just in general, like for life or for what you're interested in.
So many more likable qualities about you than the quote unquote success of your career.
Than how you make money.
And that's what he's attracted to. That's why he's in this relationship.
Yeah. He knows that you don't have your shit figured out, and clearly it's not a deal breaker.
No, this is your own self-judgment. This is no one else's judgment of you. This is your own discomfort with your current situation.
Alana Marie, this is projection.
This is projection.
You are concerned about your social standing and you are projecting it onto him. It's normal to be concerned with social standing and success at any age. And it's particularly normal to be worried about it when you've just graduated college or something and you're like, who the hell am I and what am I doing? And I think your fixation on that or your frustration with that or your uncertainty about that is being projected onto him unnecessarily.
So I really want you to give yourself permission to not have it all figured out right now. By the way, there's a lot of people who are a lot older and a lot further along in their careers who still don't have it all figured out.
I mean, women who are well older than old enough to be your mother, who we've coached, who are like, yeah, I have no idea. So, right. And they got married and had kids because, like, why the hell not? Like, you don't have to have it all figured out before you move on to certain phases of your life. I'm not pressuring you to get married and have kids, by the way. That was just an example.
Right. But I give you permission, and I want you to give yourself permission to do a couple odd jobs right now while you're figuring some stuff out and try some things out and not push yourself to reach a certain level of success, especially external success, which is a lot of what we're talking about here, which is a quote unquote successful, prestigious career or steady income or whatever it is that you're measuring success by. You don't have to have that figured out right now. No one is expecting that of you.
And this is maybe the most important point. Starting right now, you need to be honest with him about where you're at in life and how you feel. And you need to drop the idea that you should have to spin that. Because the last thing you asked us is how do I present this in a positive light? Which implies that you think you have to spin it and sell him on you.
I'm actually advocating for the opposite. I'm advocating for you saying, you know what? I have something to tell you about my current career situation, and I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about this and what I want. And I'm frankly a little bit afraid of judgment because I think I'm judging myself.
Yeah.
And here's my situation. And I have a strong inkling that this guy is going to be like, okay, I'm not judging you. Like, that's fine. That's great.
He's going to be like, yeah, I know.
And if he does judge you for that and is grossed out...
Well, we said, boy, bye.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
No, anyone who needs you to be at a certain point of success in your career before they give you the time of day...
Right. Because career success has nothing to do with emotional success, like emotional maturity and like relationship readiness. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
So
and you're gonna.
That's what matters to me, is that you guys are both mature and emotionally together. Not that you have your outer world all figured out.
Yeah, so instead of trying to spin it to look great, you can expose a little bit of vulnerability and say, I'm a little bit uncomfortable sharing this with you. And I also really want to be honest because I care about you so much.
And to be frank, if you cannot be vulnerable with someone, why are you in a relationship?
Right.
Like, you have to be able to be honest with him to a fault. You have to be able to say, hey, the story I'm telling myself is that you're going to judge me because I don't have all my stuff figured out. And then let him correct you. But you have to be willing to be vulnerable, or else don't even bother pursuing any relationships,
or
right?
Else this is not going to last that long.
No.
Because it's not going to be that deep. And it sounds like you really want it to be deep and have the potential for longevity.
Can't be deep if you're not willing to be who you really are, which is someone who doesn't have their stuff figured out.
And it's okay if it's scary to share that. We all are scared of vulnerability. It's terrifying, frankly.
It's going to be like a 9 on the spectrum of uncomfortable, and his reaction is going to be like a 1. Yes. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
So
I would love for you, prove to yourself and then come share with us how that went down.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think it's going to be as
big of a deal as you're making it out to be. No way. No way. All right. Good luck. Please report back.
Okay. On to question number 3, which I relate to in some ways. There's a thriver part of me that is like, I feel this. I am built for retirement. I hate working. I know I, quote unquote, have to work to pay the bills and yada, 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 but I just don't enjoy it. Every year or two, I get motivated to change jobs because everything starts irritating me and I get restless. For a few months after I move on, I feel like, yes, I've done it this time, but then end up in the exact same spot a few months later. I've tried multiple types of jobs across multiple industries, but nothing seems to fit. I feel like a cat that just jumps at the next shiny object. How do I tame myself and learn to accept working as something I have to do without resenting it so much? And that is from Lizzie.
Oh, yeah, Lizzie. I mean, for reals, right? Like, retirement would be the bomb. Actually, I've created a life in which I'm as retired as I can be while not actually being retired.
We're practically retired while still making some money.
But it's not easy.
No.
You know, like, there's no... And working is stupid. Why are we doing it?
Okay, except we have friends and family
who like working.
Really love it.
I know, but I don't understand those people.
Yeah.
Not really. And Lizzie doesn't either. And I totally understand her. And she is normal. And she is what she feels is perfectly understandable and natural based on who she is.
Do you see what we did there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like hitting you over the head with it. So I have so many thoughts about this. I don't even really know where to start. 1, it's actually very normal to get a little bit bored and ready to try a different thing after 2 years.
And that's not just an indication of I hate working or working is not a suitable
No, that's a little bit part of being a human who craves stimulation and a challenge. And I don't know that every human is meant to just sit and not get bored after a certain length of time with one project or one job. Like, that just doesn't make much sense to me in the first place.
Nope. You can be someone who just likes to be interested and stimulated and learning new things.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily a problem or an indication that you shouldn't be working.
No. And I have lots of other things to say. This is my number 2 on my list. Okay.
I have a lot of things to say, too.
2. Oftentimes, well, actually, no, that was going to be my number 2. I have a different number 2 now. Instead. I'm sorry. There's just too many things that I want to say. I think that Lizzie might be trying to fill a bit of an existential void with job happiness, because I'm getting the sense from the way you wrote that email, Lizzie, that you think that there's going to be a point where you find the perfect job and then everything makes sense. And it's like finding the puzzle piece that makes the whole puzzle come into place. And I think that maybe the stakes are so high in your mind around job happiness that you can't be happy anywhere because your expectations are like blown up out of proportion, which isn't, I don't want you to feel bad about that. I just want to open up the possibility that there is no such thing as a job that's going to deliver you 100% happiness.
Nope. And I actually am hearing that you have been delivered some degree of happiness by your jobs, and then they're not bored. And then they're not the right fit anymore. So this is not partially right. A job is never going to deliver this to you. And there's a lot more to life than getting all your satisfaction from a career. But also, if you love a job for a little while, because you said, yes, maybe I found it, and then a couple of years later you're done, that's okay. Something can be right for now.
Yeah.
That's an okay way of approaching working. I'm going to find the right next thing or the best feeling next thing. And when that thing is no longer serving me anymore, I can move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people would tell you that you can't do that. That's not a real career. You're going to look flaky. Who cares? If that is what excites you, is to try new things every couple of years, that's a perfectly valid way of funding your life. Because that's what a job is doing. It's the way you fund your life.
And I think in order to get to the bottom of this, we have to know whether or not it's that, whether or not it's just like totally normal and she just needs to accept herself and not put all this pressure on herself to find a job and be happy with it forever, because that's such an unreasonable expectation that then she's not able to be happy at all because she knows it's not going to last. And that's just not the point of a job. The point of the job is not meant to be permanent. It's meant to be a temporary enjoyment. And then for you to
don't
eventually
get married to your job and say vows that say, I'll love you until we die.
No, and most people can't follow through on that either. But that's for a different podcast.
But you're not even doing that with a job. So you're allowed to do things for a short time if that feels right. And that might be the situation here. I don't know.
And I would say this is, on balance, I think this is more likely what's going on to some degree, because this is what's going on with most people that we end up coaching, is that deeper sense of dissatisfaction you feel is about more than just your job, but you're taking it out through your job. Like you're expressing a sense of existential uncertainty about what you want out of life and who you are and what you desire. And you're putting that all into like, well, once I get my job figured out, then I'll be happy. And it's not that simple. We have to get down to the root of, why are you not satisfied in general? What feels like it's missing from life? Why can't you maybe, like, is there a part of you that maybe is struggling to sit still and doesn't want to feel any pain or discomfort, and so is constantly looking for the next shiny object so she doesn't have to deal with the deeper problems or the deeper issues or the deeper uncertainties that she might be experiencing?
Mm-hmm.
Jobs can be a great distraction from what the real shit.
Because they're a little bit more tangible than generalized dissatisfaction with life. At least with a job, you can point to certain things and say, well, this is why I don't like it, or this is my experience.
Generalized dissatisfaction with life should be like DSM-5, like mental health like diagnosis, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of that. So one more thing that I want to just throw out here is, you say you're built for retirement, but I'm curious, have you actually given any thought to what you would do if you just didn't have to work? You have all this time. Because what I'm also sensing is that you're putting a lot of expectation on your job to deliver what maybe other things in your life should be delivering. And I get a hunch that you might be at least partially a thriver. You just kind of sound that way. That's a thing that I've heard a lot of thrivers say, is I'm built for retirement.
I'm going to assume Lizzie's taken the passion profile quiz. But if she hasn't, she needs to take it and read up on her result. And for those of you who are new, go to clarityonfire.com and take the passion profile quiz. Because very much I sense what Lizzie's going through is partially thriver problems.
Thriver problems,
And a lot of the time you have a problem like this that you don't realize how much your passion profile is contributing to the way that you're sort of processing the problem. And
it could help you understand where some of the dissatisfaction and disconnection is coming from.
Yes.
And help you also understand, what are some ways that I can right the balance here?
Yeah.
Because if you are, in fact, a thriver, if I'm intuiting this correctly, or at least partially a thriver, then what's very likely needed in your life right now is a very full, balanced life outside of work.
Yes.
That makes you feel very filled up. And work is one element and not even close to the most important element necessarily of your whole life. So that's why I ask, what would you do if you were retired? Because there's no reason that you have to just wait around until your retirement age to do the things that you'll finally have the time to do.
Ideally, your job, when you're a thriver or a part thriver, is the thing that provides for you to live the great life.
Exactly.
We have a friend whose husband would totally relate to what you just said. Like, he is built for retirement, and working is such a drag, and he just doesn't want to have to do it. But, he's resigned to the fact that he doesn't have a trust fund, so that's the way his life is. And he was so miserable, like, in his job, that he actually recently took a sabbatical, which hopefully will be great for his mental health and just getting back on track emotionally and, like, what he wants to do with his life. But he recently realized, like, if we moved back home where we come from, I think I would actually not mind working that much, because it would be, like, providing for me to live in the place I really want to live. Like, I'm not really tied emotionally to where we live now, but I think I would be much more happy to work if it was allowing me to live in this place that I've been dreaming of living.
You have to have a purpose infused in your working that may or may not have anything to do with the work itself.
Yes.
It has a purpose to your greater life satisfaction.
What is it allowing you to do?
And I think everyone should have that to a degree, but for thrivers, that's critical.
Which, to just, like, shoot this arrow straight to the heart of the bullseye and bring this full circle. I'm using a lot of analogies right now. In the end of your email, you said, I know I have to work, but if you have a purpose for why you're working, it becomes, I get to work so that I can have that thing.
Yep. You've heard us before say, you can be your own sugar daddy.
Or mama. Or person.
Your own sugar person.
I'm just trying to be inclusive.
Sure. Doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but you can
be. Your own sugar human? I mean, I don't know. Your own sugar entity, if you don't even want to identify as human?
Sure. Where you can provide for yourself, but also feel like you're living the good life at the same time. And I have had clients who have come to me saying, I'm pretty sure I'm just never going to like working, who by the end of coaching show me a job description and they're like, wow, I didn't even think that this was a thing. And I think I could actually enjoy it for a little while at least. So part of this might just be old beliefs that have come from a lot of experience that may not continue to be true indefinitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on here. This is what we do in coaching. This is what we get into.
Yes.
Is examining these beliefs, examining the value system, examining your passion profile, putting all the pieces together to say what's missing, what's disconnected, and how do we recreate some balance here to get you feeling more regularly the way you want to be feeling.
Yeah.
That you're getting stuck on your own.
Everyone who comes into coaching eventually learns the same lesson, which is all we're there to do is find the way that will help you connect with what brings you satisfaction and what brings you fulfillment and how you can actually experience those emotions.
We're known for helping people find their passion, which a lot of people assume means helping them find the right job.
May or may not have anything to do with that.
It may or may not. Yeah. It's just so much more inclusive in your whole life than that. And all of our clients know that we get into all of it with them. And the career is one piece of that, but it's not the only piece. Because otherwise, we're not really helping you on the deepest level.
No stone left unturned, because that generalized life dissatisfaction or whatever, dissatisfaction with life, whatever, that has no context. It's usually just intangible and you can't quite put a finger on it. And that's what deserves to be. Well, we can. You can't probably, because if you could, you already would have.
Yep.
But we know where that lives usually, and we can dig around until we hit a nerve, and we'll know when we've hit it. And so that's really the work that honestly, most of the time needs to be done. It's not about finding the perfect job. The perfect job usually, or life setup, even if it's not a job, is the happy result of having done that deeper work and put your finger on, why am I dissatisfied really?
Yeah. Which kind of brings us
why
full
am I
circle
disconnected really?
to what we talked about at the beginning, which is that we're about to take on some new clients. So if you are feeling that
not just you, Lizzie, anybody.
What is that diagnosis we just described?
We can either call it generalized life dissatisfaction, or generally dissatisfied with life. I think I prefer the simpler.
Yeah, me too.
General life dissatisfaction.
If that sounds like it describes
GLD.
you, we just diagnosed your problem and we also have the solution.
Well, we don't have the solution. We can help you.
We can help you
work through the process.
We know how to help you come up with your own solution. That's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole bag. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Wow. That was a lot of talking.
That was a lot. And
I'm going to be thinking about sugar person the rest of the day. I can't stop.
I can't know if I like sugar person or sugar human more. They're both so ridiculous.
I like sugar person because if you say it, you can be like, sugar person. You know?
I'm imagining like a Sour Patch Kid, like that has all this sugar on the outside in the shape of a little person.
I was imagining more like Candyland. You know?
We were both
like a gumdrop princess or something like
both
that.
Had a candy vibe going on.
Well, obviously, what else has that much sugar and could be made into a human form? A gingerbread man?
Maybe.
This is a really dumb conversation. Well, we give you it all. We give you, hopefully, the highest of highs
and the most surface level ridiculousness. We've got it all.
Okay. We'll be back
on Tuesday.
Yes. But if you want to leave us a comment, please do. Or there will be a link to this episode where it lives on our site, and you can leave us a comment if any of this resonated with you. Or, of course, if you're one of the people whose questions we answered, I would love to hear from you. So you can always email us at contact@clarityonfire.com.
We'd love to hear how that resonated. But I'm certain that a lot of this related to way more people than just the three who reached out.
Otherwise, I wouldn't pick these to answer.
So I know people are having their own reaction to this, so you can share that in the comments as well.
Yeah. And of course, at any time, if you want to submit a Dear Krachel question, there will always be a link in every single show notes of every single episode, so you can't miss it. But of course, you're always welcome to just email us at contact@clarityonfire.com. Just put Dear Krachel in the subject line if you can. And I like to give you that option in case you're just walking around in life and
you don't know how to find that link.
And you don't want to go find the show notes at that time. You just want to pull up your email and fire one off. I'm fine with that too. Just let us know what it is and I'll bookmark it and we'll see if we want to answer it or if it's hopefully relevant to other people. That's usually how I decide. So we'll be back on Tuesday and you're going to have to, listen to us talk about coaching some more. We ain't done. We just got started.
Well, for those of you who are thinking about it, you've got a few days to process before the doors officially open.
Mm-hmm. And again, you can just get on our calendar at some point in the next couple of weeks once those doors open to talk to us about it. So yeah, do some thinking, do some processing. Are you generally dissatisfied with life? I can't. General life dissatisfaction? Then we got the solution for you.
Work out the kinks of that term.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you later, sugar people.